And no, okay, so here's the thing, okay? I do not work on Sundays. I have not worked on Sundays in, I want to say since July, I want to say July of 2022, because that's when I moved here to Texas. And when I got my first job here, I told my boss, oh, I can't work on Sundays. And he accommodated. And then my two other jobs were office jobs, so they were naturally closed on Sundays. So now, being in the job market, I am always at a crossroads. Do I go back to the 9 to 5 life, or do I pursue happiness and get a job working at the floral department in Home Depot? And the issue with working at a floral department at Home Depot, or going to be a server or cashier, anything like that, is that most likely they will require me to work on Sundays, especially as a new hire, and that's just not something that I'm willing to do. I am a Christian woman. I go to church on Sundays, number one, and then, well, they asked me, well, can you work after church? I was in one interview, one of the three, and she was like, well, can you come in at 1? And technically, could I come in at 1? Yes, but I work like a workhorse, okay, throughout the week. I believe that everybody needs a Sabbath. You know what I mean? Everybody needs a day that they just take to rest. I especially remember during COVID, I was working at Kroger and McDonald's. So I worked 6 days a week, 48 hours at Kroger when everybody was panic grocery shopping. And then on that one day, I would work at McDonald's. So there would be times where I would go 5 weeks without a day off because I was working 2 jobs. That was insane. That is insanity, and I have nothing to show for it. So apparently Henry Ford introduced the 40-hour work week, and I saw online that people were getting upset with Henry Ford for introducing the 40-hour work week because we're unaware of how many hours we were working before the 40-hour work week from sunup to sundown, and then he realized that we can be just as efficient working 5 days and 40 hours a week. I really do believe efficiency. Efficiency is true. I had no days off for 5 days a week, and I was burnt out, tired. I had money, but I was tired. It inevitably did not last, but it's just so funny to think about that now, to the point where I'm like, I will pass up a job opportunity if they ask me to work on Sundays. I believe I told this story already, but I applied for Target. I was really excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to work at Ulta, the little Ulta section inside the Target. It's going to be great. I love makeup. It's going to be awesome. I was on the phone with the hiring manager, and I told her, she asked me, is there any days that I can work that I don't work? And I was like, I just can't work on Sundays because I have church. Like, it's a religious thing. And she's like, yeah, a lot of people want off on Sundays for church. If I let you off, then I'm gonna have to let everybody off. So that's a non-negotiable. You have to be available to work on Sunday. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, I just don't come on to work on Sundays. And she was like, oh, well, sorry. And I was like, okay, well, thank you. And we hung up the phone, and she immediately went into Indeed and was like, not selected by employer, like right after we got off our phone conversation. Really petty if you ask me, but not the Indeed thing. Like, I understand the company policy, and that's fine, and I get it, but like, sheesh. So it's gonna be really hard for me to find a retail place, even if it's like a chill place, like a bookstore, that will allow me to be off on Sundays so I can have a day of rest. And I know what you're thinking, why don't you just rest on your off day, on the day that you have off? But then what about church? What about Sunday mornings? That's a non-negotiable. We cannot not go to church. That's just not a thing that exists in my realm. We go to church on Sundays. Everything else revolves around that. So if I could rest on my day off, but it's also mandatory that I go to church on Sunday. And I just feel like because I go to church on Sunday, that's like the apex of the entire day. So it just works for me to have Sundays off. And what's crazy about that is that unless you're Chick-fil-A, Sunday is the busiest day of the week for retail, especially for grocery stores. And practically every single business is packed on Sundays, especially in that afternoon time. So it makes sense why they would require their employees to work on Sunday, but I just don't do that. You know what I mean? So you can call me a spoiled brat. You can say that I'm being uppity. You can say a whole bunch of whatever, but it's the truth. It's been like this for almost over 2 years now, and it will not change now. I will go to church on Sundays, and because I'm going to church already, it makes sense for me to just be off the entire day. I don't even do Instacart and DoorDash on Sundays. That's how seriously I take my Sundays. Now, granted, I am recording this video on a Sunday, but I don't necessarily, this is like a blur the lines between work and a hobby, so I'm just gonna lean on the air of hobby just for the time being. I won't edit this video on Sunday. How's that? That's like the actual work part of it for me. So yeah, I believe that people should take their rest more seriously. I believe that they will be more productive. I believe that they'll be happier. God made the world in 7 days or 6 days, because on the seventh day he rested. So if God needs to rest, we need rest. It's not a flex to hustle, grind 7 days a week, and then be burnt out and whatnot. I used to do that when I was working at Ralph's or Kroger for 6 days a week, and then McDonald's on that one day off, like 8-hour shifts, every 8-hour shifts too, sometimes 10-hour shifts, depending on what I was doing. And it was fun. You know, I was 19, I was young, I was limber, a lot more flexible than I am now at the ripe age of 24. I'm getting up there. I can't do that anymore now. I look back in time and I'm like, I don't know what I was doing, okay? But now I believe that people should take their rest seriously. They should prioritize it. I say this all the time, and it's just not because I'm bitter about being like fired from 3 jobs. I just say it because it's the truth. If you die, your job will replace you in 48 hours. I've seen it with my own 2 hands 3 times. Just kidding. I don't know if they replace me. You can't replace me. You can just find somebody else, because there's nobody else like me. Okay? Period. Let's not. Okay? I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. But it's the truth. Okay? If you die because you're tired, if you die because you chugged Red Bulls, okay, trying to get through your 8-hour shifts because you won't take a nap, your job is going to replace you in 48 hours anyway. So it really does not matter. You know what I mean? Take a break. Take your day off. Take your lunch. It's not that deep. The work will be there when you get there. And if not, oh well, it's not worth your life. But yeah, in the meantime, stay strong. Bye, guys.